In today's video, I'm going to show you how to manage a large class. Side note, it's a lot easier than you think, and how these tips and strategies can be used for any age group that you're teaching. Hi, my name is Leah. Welcome to my channel. If you're interested in what life looks like living and working abroad, this channel is for you. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas of what you can do before, during, and after class to have good classroom management. Let's go ahead and get started. Here are some suggestions and tips of what you should do before you even step foot into your classroom. Get to know your co-teacher. You are the lead ESL teacher in your classroom, but your co-teacher can help you out a lot with classroom management. For starters, most co-teachers are already aware of the students that will be coming into your class. This may include advice on how to handle challenging students and who your leaders are. They usually have some kind of relationship with the homeroom teacher that can prove to your advantage. My second suggestion is making sure that you are really organized before you start class. One of the easiest ways you can do this is by setting up routines and structures so that both you and your students know what to expect before they even arrive into the class. Here's some suggestions on how you can set that up. Set up a seating chart before your students arrive. This prevents arguments, bargaining to sit next to their friends, and putting students together that might be a disruption to your class. Have your lessons within view. Write any instructions that you will be discussing in class on the board before they come in. Make sure you check your internet connections before you start teaching, and always create a backup lesson for when, not if, the internet goes down. Now let's move on to some suggestions for classroom management once your students are in class. When you are starting the school year out, I would strongly suggest to have strict rules, strict disciplines, and strict policies that you abide by. Let me clarify that a strict classroom does not mean that you need to be an asshole. Your classroom can still be a fun place even with strict rules. It's going to be much easier for you to have a strict classroom and ease up rather than starting off trying to be their friend and then locking it down. I always want my students to raise their hand, even if they're excited about answering a question. Students should always have their books open within a 10-second timer. 3, 2, 1. Students should always ask permission if they need to speak their native language. Set up class rules for your students and review them every time they come into your class. This reinforces every single time the behavior that you expect. You don't need this big extravagant list. You are wanting something short and simple that the students will remember every time that they come in. And for my older students, I will set clear instructions on what that behavior means. Respect in class means when I am talking, you are not talking. When your classmate is talking, you are not talking. You should also be aware that at all times, you are leading by example. If you have a rule that says you will focus in class, but you're checking your phone, that's not setting a good example. Students really respond well to positive feedback. Really easy to call out a student that is misbehaving, not following the rules, or that is being challenging. But addressing that single student takes away from the focus of the entire classroom, and depending on the reason why the student is doing it, you might possibly be reinforcing giving that student attention even though it's negative. Rather than constantly saying to your students, how many times do I have to tell you to stop talking? Stop socializing. I follow up with the command of what I want to see. If they're socializing, John, stop talking, eyes on me, and they haven't started their work yet, I will simply walk over to the student, pencils up, start your work. All of my classes are arranged into 3 teams. Group work is a really great way to encourage students to work together, to stay focused, and to teach each other in addition to you teaching your class. Every team has a mixture of students. So there are natural leaders, there are some students that are very smart, there are some students that are very shy, there are some students that are very outgoing, and they all will be working together. My students are awarded stars based on their behavior. It's not the team that has the smartest students or the right answers. This encourages more positive behavior and it also allows the students to learn to work together despite their differences. Keep your students engaged. You don't want any downtime where you don't have something planned. Have a lesson that accounts for every minute that you are using. Use precise language. Open your books, page 16. Use your entire class to teach. Walk around the classroom so that you can see what students are struggling that you might need to help or have his team help. Don't call on your students in order. Going around the room, the round table, is predictable and it allows your students to lose interest because they know that they're not going to be called on until you get here. Find different ways for them to respond. So sometimes instead of saying raising your hand, I will say first team to clap your hand. First student to show me the number 4. First student to show me the color red. Just because the bell rings for you should not mean that class is over. If you set up a process that allows your students to exit the class just as calmly as they've come in, that also helps with your classroom management. No one is dismissed until all the chairs are pushed in, students are standing with their books in their hand, and they are quiet. I also have students with specific roles that also help me prepare for the next class. They collect homework books. They erase the board. They check for any items that may have been left behind. You're always gonna have like 1 or 2 classes or 1 or 2 students that are always challenging. All of these are a work in progress. You can't expect this to happen overnight. Having that consistency and that patience will help make managing large classrooms easier as the year goes on. I have not had any challenges with large classrooms since I've been in Taiwan. However, I do occasionally have parents that don't agree with the way that I manage my classroom. Parents have a huge influence in how schools are managed. It's really important that you have good strategies to be able to connect with the parents and also to hold your ground. If you want to know what that looks like, you should check out this next video.